Good evening. It is time for today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. It is Monday, March 29th, the year of our Lord 2022. And we see another celebrity in the news, but this is a little bit different than most celebrity tax stories. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. And there's some lessons here for all of us. We're going to talk a little bit about the Steve Harvey case. Won't you join us? Well, you can join us if you like. Well, we'll do an intro next time. You gotta get rid of this stuff here, see? Well, we'll try it one more time. Go. Sometimes things don't go right. That's just the way it works. That's what live streaming is all about, right? If I was editing, I could edit all that out. But I'm not editing. We do a live stream. That's what we do. So anyway, we wanted to talk a little bit about Steve Harvey and his woes, for lack of a better term. You know, and so we're going to read this story. It's pretty interesting. Again, should I tell you the moral of the story before we read the story? Here's what it is. I've had clients in a similar situation as Mr. Harvey, in that through no fault of their own, they find themselves owing the IRS money. I had a client who ran a business and had a trusted family member who was to pay payroll taxes. And it turned out that he wasn't paying the payroll taxes. He was taking the money for himself. And they had a very large payroll. So that money was a lot of money. And the owner is responsible for that money. They're a responsible party. And so even though it was stolen, that my client was found to be responsible for that. Very much was what happened here with Steve Harvey. So let's go to the story. So no wonder he has been one of the most hardworking men in television. Steve Harvey claims he paid IRS $650,000 a month for 7 years because accountants were ripping him off. I don't know. There's some in the story. I think it says 4 years. It doesn't. I mean, I guess it matters, right? 7 years or 4 years at $650,000 a month is a lot of money. No, any way you shake it. So Steve Harvey had folks on social media baffled this week when the entertainment business's hardest working employee revealed that he owed the Internal Revenue Service millions of dollars at one point in his illustrious career. During a recent appearance on Tuesday, the Family Feud host returned to an account he has discussed previously about owing the IRS $22 million in 2008. My accountant died, and an accountant that worked for him called my lawyer and said, "We have a problem," he told the hosts. What a kind of a problem. The 65-year-old continued. She had found on the floor all my tax forms for 7 years, signed with checks stapled to them. The longtime game show discovered that the people he hired to handle his finances were cashing the checks, keeping the money, and not turning in the tax forms. When asked how they could use checks that were signed out to the government, Harvey explained they didn't cash it. They took the money out of the account that matched the exact number. Harvey ultimately spent the next 7 years paying back $650,000 a month, including his current taxes and daily living expenses. Yet it wasn't the first time that Harvey opened up about his troubled finances. While talking to Yahoo News, who covered his tax troubles back in 2016, the West Virginia native revealed the incident happened shortly after he married his third wife. The television personality thought he would lose everything he had he ever had, including the former fashion designer. I sat my wife down and she cried, and I held her. And I told her that we were going to be all right. I was going to get us out. The game show host kept his promise. I just went to work. I took every gig and every contract, and I worked. I hung in there, and I had a big deal come through in 2012, and I got free. And it's been okay ever since. That's a long time ago. It's 10 years ago. Harvey's admission stunned fans who flocked to social media to discuss the news that they had just heard, including on one Twitter user who wrote, Steve Harvey owing the IRS millions of dollars because of people were stealing from him and having to pay $650,000 a month for at least for 4 years in some crazy, I'm not going to use the word. I'm going to open up this. I'm also not going to read a lot of the tweets. I think that I don't know if tweets are really news, but never went to jail because he never missed a payment, bro, they added. Actually, he didn't go to jail because he didn't commit a crime. Owing the IRS money is not a crime. That's why he didn't go to jail. Even not filing your tax returns. They are things that they call a reasonable cause. He may have gotten a reasonable cause. Again, still responsible for the payments, still responsible for not filing, but there was some fraud here, and it was really not his fault, according to the story. Is this story accurate? As far as I know, it is. Can you imagine paying a monthly $650,000 bill while also keeping up with everyday life? Well, first he owed $20 million because he made a lot of money. Okay. So, and then the penalties and interest. You might be able to get some of the penalties abated for reasonable cause because he was relying on a tax professional and who led him astray. And so he may have avoided some of the penalties, but none of the interest. You can't really avoid the interest because that's by statute. Steve Harvey has confidence that I never seen before in my life. This man is unstoppable. This dude had to pay the IRS $650,000 a month for 4 years because his accountant was stealing his check payments. He made every payment on time. That's $31 million. So I said I wasn't going to read. These are all tweets. So again, I'm not going to get into the tweets. But it's an interesting dichotomy in that so many celebrities who turn out that they owe the IRS money turn to some other way to pay them and don't just take it upon themselves to start, to pay him back. Again, Steve Harvey's kind of an unusual example in that he was making a lot of money. Although, as he mentioned, he was working, taking every gig he ever could to pay it back. And he did pay it back. There's a lot of good stories. And the IRS worked with him because they didn't have to. I don't know what kind of assets he owned. I would assume that he had homes and cars and other goodies that the IRS could have taken away from him. But they instead came up with a payment plan. I work with a lot of over the mean, higher income people. And sometimes the IRS is not as flexible or as helpful with them as they are with lower income people. And they really hold their feet to the fire and start taking assets away from people. I think sometimes unnecessarily, but that's just where we sit. And so I sometimes if you're a higher income, the IRS really doesn't have any patience for you. Again, this was an unusual situation. I don't know if he filed any charges. Probably could still file charges against the accounting firm, malpractice or something. They probably had malpractice insurance. I don't know what he did. I'm sure he had the right legal help to tell him what help him along the way and try to recover anything if it was possible to recover anything. May not have been. I don't know. But either way, paying the IRS back is commendable. I always like to talk about in a situation like this, like Honest Abe Lincoln. Many people don't know that Honest Abe had filed for protection under the bankruptcy laws because he owned a store when he was younger, and the store was not profitable, and his partner died, and he filed a bankruptcy. Later on, it took him many years, but he did pay everybody back because he thought he had a moral obligation to do so. So the law protected him from his financial obligations, his legal obligations, but did not protect him for his moral obligations. And he felt a moral obligation to pay those debts back, and he did. As here, Harvey should be commended. He felt there's probably some way for him to get out of it. Maybe there wasn't. I don't know. Again, I don't know enough. I don't know what his income was. I don't know. I always tell people, when someone who doesn't know anything about you tells you they know how to solve your problem, that, they got to be lying to you, right? But anyway, a lot of people would try to search for another way and wouldn't work more to pay back this thievery that happened. Again, the IRS looks at that like it's your fault. Maybe not your fault, but you're responsible. You're always responsible for any of your debt. And remember, you signed tax returns under the penalty of perjury. Now, these tax returns were never signed, or they were signed but never filed. So did he commit perjury? No, because they were never filed. And they were unwitting to him. He had a trusted professional, supposedly, working on his behalf. And this trusted professional is the one that let him down. So again, there's some extenuating circumstances, but here's the moral of the code is, when you hire a tax preparer and you sign the tax form, the 1040, and you don't understand it, it's really your obligation to have it explained to you so you can understand it. So when you sign it, you're signing under penalty of perjury that it's right, and you know that it is right. And so that's kind of the moral of this story is, first, don't trust everybody. I guess I gave, who would think that my accountant wouldn't file my tax returns and take my money? That's something, especially trusted if he had been his accountant for a long time. But that just teaches you, when you're dealing with large sums of money, is to trust no one or have a lot of verification procedures in place. Just makes sense. It doesn't mean you don't trust anybody. It just means you're being careful. You should be careful because when it comes down, it's your responsibility to be careful. So I wanted to bring that story up again because I think it's a good celebrity story that doesn't end like most of them do. Where they're trying to get out of something, that he stood up and he paid it. And of course, that was, we said he finished 10 years ago. He's been pretty successful ever since. So I'm sure he's still living large, and that's fine. Again, he's a talented man, and everybody deserves whatever they can earn. That's like everybody. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that case. I thought it was interesting. I also want to mention that if you're fighting the IRS and you have this situation, something arises, not your fault, you don't know, what's the first thing you should do? You should get a copy of my book, Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. Go to freeirsbook.com, freeirsbook.com. Go to freeirsbook.com for your free copy of Deal with Your IRS Problem Today. There's lots of information in there. Maybe help you solve the problem yourself. Maybe you don't need help from an outsider. And the ways to fix the problem are in that book. So go to freeirsbook.com and get it yourself a free copy. I also wanted to encourage you to like and subscribe. Let me see if I can get this slide up. Like and subscribe. We're asking you to like and subscribe. We're trying to get viewers. We want to get the word out. We'd like to share this content with as many people as we can, and we need your help. So please like and subscribe our content. Appreciate it. So thanks so much for joining us here today. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Cyber Tuesday, or Crypto Tuesday. I'm sorry. It's Crypto Tuesday. Lots of crypto news. We're going to talk about it, and taxes. It's tax time, and crypto is a big part of it. So join us here tomorrow, and we'll talk about Crypto Tuesday. Thank you.